Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. So today's pick a card is all about what do you most need to know right now. And the inspiration for doing this, although it's a fairly broad sort of topic, is that I just received a deck that I backed on Kickstarter, which is called the Marvelous Menagerie. It's a really beautiful, quirky sort of deck that creates chimeric sort of animals by combining sort of like reptiles and mammals and insects and so forth to get sort of like hybridized beings that then bring a particular type of spiritual message to us or life, life message to us. And so kind of fun, very quirky, very different. And one of the things that came as an add-on that you could get with the Oracle deck, which I did sort of, put into my backing, was these hexagrams. And they give kind of like questions or areas to explore with, as you can see, different sort of like things like power, increase or whatever around the topic. So claim your power and so forth. And with these, we then look at what hybrid animals come out of the deck and what the messages are around that. So that's what we're going to do first. There's the one here, which will help hopefully with the choice. If you feel that you have messages around this topic, then that might be an indication that's the one to go to, the pile to go to. There's another one under there. I'm not sure what it is yet. We'll find out. So we're going to look at two in detail first, then we'll use tarot. I'm going to use the Cute and Creepy tarot because I think it's kind of a good match for this sort of energy and so forth, to explore each of those areas in a little bit more detail and how they come together. And then we'll see what the natural world and the stars want to tell us as well. So probably don't need to do much more introduction than that. You can go to more than one, of course. You could go the entire three if you wanted. Like, it's completely up to you with this. But certainly, as I say, the second one with this will give a kind of combination of energies that Spirit wants anybody who would go to pile 1 to have, anybody that goes to pile 2 to have, and so forth. So maybe to help with the choice, one of the areas that you need to know about for pile 1 is claiming your power. For pile 2, one of the areas is around resilience. And for pile 3, one of the areas is around find your calm. So it may well be that one of those particularly draws you, but as I say, if you want to go to more than one, feel free. When you know what reading or readings you want to go to, I've got the timestamps as always in the description box below, and we'll see you there. Welcome pile 1 to your reading. So you came to the one with claim your power. So we are going to be looking at something that has to do with power that you have, knowing what it is, claiming it, either claiming it literally as in, getting a job, winning a competition, taking over a position or something like that, or just claiming it within. The other area that Spirit wants to talk to you about is the past. And I could see these could be quite related. It could be understanding things from the past that allows you to claim your power more. Or it could be, depending upon what we see over here, there's a quite different thing, that there's something in your past that Spirit wants to talk to you about for a different reason. So we'll just see what we get as we go through it. As I said, we're basically looking at a hexagram, and the cards that come from the Marvelous Menagerie give us a bit of an idea about what the message is. So we're just going to literally go through each of these one at a time. I think what I will do is I will first of all do this one and then do some tarot on it, then do this one and then do some tarot, and then we'll do tarot to bring it together. So might be quite a cluttered sort of desk by the time we do it, but bear with me on that. So when we're looking at claim your power, the first thing is, what is the kind of power energy that we're talking about? What type of power or area of power or issue around power does Spirit want you to focus on? And we have the persistent Gila wasp. So this is a hybrid. I mean, here we have a hybrid of what looks like a baboon with a spider. So that's interesting. But here we have what looks like a hybrid of some sort of lizard with a wasp. And it says you have the inner strength to survive and thrive. So this has something to do with persistence. There might be, for some of you, a bit of a direct link to pile 2. So some of you may want to go to pile 2. But this is saying that you have the capacity to claim your energy, to claim your strength, and to survive and thrive in some type of situation. So I'm just trying to do this so that it's seen on the desk, and I'm going to run out of a bit of space, so you just have to bear with me in the way that I'm doing this. So to do that, what do you need to increase? We have the unique zebracorn. So this is a unicorn and a zebra. Embrace the power of individuality. So there's something about your individuality, the way that you present yourself, the way that you approach things that's very unique. It's also, to me, when you're talking about a zebra, don't change your stripes. That's connecting with the persistent thing there. Yeah, like if you had to, you can wait it out like a lizard and be cool and calm, or you can strike out if you need to. It's really important not to change for others, but to be unique for yourself. So increase that energy, Spirit is saying. What guidance is being brought to you to help with that? The diligent wall rocks, so a walrus and some sort of fish by the looks of things. Keep working at it. So it says, like, the main thing here is that there's something going on in your life at the moment where your individuality is very important, and a kind of stubborn persistence with this, and like understanding your strength is important. And like the main guidance is keep doing what you're doing. What responsibilities are you meant to take on as a result of claiming your power? Pile 1. The monstrous Bulgazari. So this seems to be an elephant and some form of, looks like a tiger or something like this. This is a time to rebel and fight. So it's not really about taking on extra responsibilities, or to the degree that there's responsibilities around this, what is unique about you may be meant to be leading people in some way, so that you will take a fight on, you will take a cause on. I do feel for some of you, you've probably got the capacity to sting and have a sharp tongue when you need to have it. And there's something about this combination of uniqueness and stubbornness, as I say, not changing your stripes. That is part of your strength. But it is, you keep doing what you're doing, keep working on it, but you do need to rebel against power that is not inclusive for you, inclusive for others, potentially inclusive of difference in some way. What is limiting your power at the moment? This might tell us a little bit about what the fight is. The immune bomgwa, which looks like a leopard and a phoenix, which is pretty amazing. A little exposure will build immunity. So right now you might have limited yourself from the fight or limited yourself from the issue. So in fact, the best thing that you can do is actually take a measured dose of what is going on. Be in the fight to some degree and be ready to build it up, because your strength will build up as you do it. It's like building a muscle, or as it says, like building your immunity. There's something in this, it's saying, I think that there's something in an environment, whether it's at work or around friends or in a relationship, where there is almost a push to make you just follow and just go along with everybody else. But this is saying, no, this is the time to fight for what is unique, and you have to be in it. You have to be around these people. For some of you, it may also be that the only way you can build the strength of your argument, your viewpoint or something like that, is to actually expose yourself to the other side. So if you are potentially, like in a political or social argument, it's not really going to help you to say, I'm staying out of it all. I'm just going to stick with what I want, but I stay out of it. It's actually being in the debate, exposing yourself to that helps you build the immunity to you and build the strength that you need. Also, potentially, hear some arguments that might make your position modify a bit, not a lot, but a bit, in such a way that it's strengthened. So what action is being asked of you, apart from being ready to be involved? We have the Arctic Komodo. So it's a Komodo dragon with something else. I'm not sure what it is, to be honest, but overcoming this challenge will make you stronger. Okay, you just have to get into it. Okay, so this is, the first message is that there's something in your life that requires you to be strong and persistent about a difference of opinion, a different view, or something like that. Just being that in itself is a large part of it, but you can't separate yourself out and just say, I'm going to watch this from a distance and feel superior or feel stronger. You really have to be in with it. It will be like an immunity or a building of strength to do it, but you can only reclaim your power by being in this challenge. So let's get some tarot. Let's get 4 cards for some other information about this particular set of advice for you. The Sun reversed, Temperance, Two of Cups. The Empress reverse. Okay, yeah. This is really, really about you building your strength, claiming your power, as it was talking about, by understanding that difference is okay, but growth will only come in relation to connecting with others. So there needs to be a balanced approach here. You need to hold to who you are. It's not about dimming your own light or not following your path. Because if you do that, what you're doing won't grow. You won't get the sort of outcomes you want. You won't get the sort of abundance that you want or anything like that. So being what others tell you to do and not following your path is not the answer. But equally, not connecting to others, like if you stayed separate to this, not even trying to balance it, not trying to be in this debate, this discussion, and find points where you can connect, things won't grow. So your power is not so much, it is saying be kind of stubborn, but not completely stubborn. It's sort of like, as in building up an immunity, you almost need to take in some of what the other viewpoint is on this to actually come to a good outcome. And then that strengthens the connections that you have. It strengthens your resolve for what really matters to you. It strengthens your life path. So if this is around a relationship, it's kind of, you got to be in the relationship and kind of balance with the relationship without losing yourself in the relationship for it to grow. If this is about a issue that's like social or political, it is your life path to be involved in this. You're the one who needs to do it. And without you, it doesn't grow. But there is a kind of a thing in here about being strong, but open to balance and open to the other side that will actually make it better. Now, that's interesting then when we have the past. So it may be that there's something about the past where this has occurred before that actually gives you a bit of a blueprint, or it may be about something very different. So firstly, let's see, what is the lesson from the past that Spirit wants to talk to you about? We have the arrogant peacockatrice. So this is a peacock with some form of other winged creature. Arrogance and judgment cause destruction. Okay. So I do think these things are kind of connected. There's a difference between the strength of being different and holding to your principles, but still being in life and in relationship with others and just going, no, I'm right, and that's all there is to it. So I think either you came across someone like that and it's sort of like, don't be like that, because like, don't become the thing you despise, or you have actually done that in the past. So there's something in the past. There was a lesson about arrogance, I think. So what is the impact? What was the impact of this past lesson for you? The unpredictable okapifli. So this looks like some sort of zebra with a butterfly. Even the smallest of things holds surprising value. Okay. What the impact of this was, at its best, you might have started off feeling you had all the answers, or you might have been around someone who felt they had all the answers. But somewhere in the smallest details of what was different in someone else, there was actually real value. So there was sort of something here about learning the value of a different opinion. But as I say, whether it was you that had that issue, or whether you dealt with that before and had to get past that sort of arrogance. And this is why you're kind of now really kind of primed for the battle. But this is also saying you can go in and you can battle if you need to, but you maybe also can find a midway point. There's something about understanding, even in the smallest of things, the values of things. So we have pride here, and pride has got something to do with it. So where was pride important to what went on? The clever velociraptor, which is a lobster and some sort of velociraptor, I think. Intelligent planning brings strategic victory. Okay. So that's interesting. One of the things that I've noticed, like in my life, and in particular in like when I did sort of negotiations and human resource work and things like that, is that planning does help, because it does make you look at the details and it does make you think about other people's perspective. But there's also the risk with these sort of energies together that sometimes we may feel that we are the strategic ones, we are the wisest ones. And sometimes that's true, but sometimes we miss something because we think it's all in our plan. In fact, I used to get really frustrated sometimes with project managers if all they wanted to do was, you follow their Gantt chart and whatever was in it, because sometimes things change. The best project managers, the best planners actually allow for this difference and the value of difference and change and flexibility. So I think that you have been in some situation where either you were too rigid, and so there's a reminder here and maybe it cost you something, so now you're reclaiming your position, or you were around somebody too rigid, and it's a reminder for the situation you're in at the moment. So yeah, a little bit more about the history of this for you. The messenger canary. So this is a combination of a canary and a cat. A message is on its way. Okay, so there's something about the history of this that you are meant to learn, or a message is meant to come. Now, the message may come in a dream or something like that. The message could be related to this, or it could be that you're going to learn something about this past situation that you didn't know at the time. And that is going to be really valuable in understanding it and potentially also future things. So what inspiration could come from the message or the information from the past? The intimidating, frilled Dilophowery. So this again appears to be some sort of a reptile and a fairy. Be wary of others trying to persuade you. Okay. So I think in this, now that we've got that, there was something where there was an arrogant planner or something like that, and they were kind of this diplomat or whatever, but this actually persuaded you away from seeing the detail that you needed to see. So this is why you're a little bit kind of careful now about what you do, but it is saying that you'll know whether to fight or whether you've got the right people. It's not necessarily going to replicate, but not letting others influence you, the strategists, the planners or whatever, is kind of important, because this was an issue for you in the past. And so this caused some form of mistake. So what was the mistake about? The shell-backed whale. So this looks like it's kind of got a oyster shell with a whale, which is pretty amazing. An extra layer of protection is wise. So yeah, you didn't protect yourself enough in this situation. So I think that these two things are combined. I think that it's saying sometime in the past you were blindsided by someone who was a bit arrogant, very good at persuading people, seemed to have the plan, but the reality was some details were missed. And as a result, you kind of you suffered in some way. There's a message or something else that is coming that you'll understand that more, or this message might be here, which is this is similar but not the same. But you see this as your power, reclaiming your power after this situation, going in prepared, not being too influenced, but also not being so closed that you cut off the possibility. So let's see what Tarot has to say about this past situation. The Tower. Yes, something big happened there. So you're much more wary now. The Six of Cups reversed. You do not want this to repeat. The Hierophant. So you kind of you've almost gone too much in the other direction. You're almost too iconoclastic now because of whatever this power structure was. Knight of Cups. Yeah. And look, maybe because the power structure was also rather seductive. And it was seductive to feel like you were amongst the powerful or something like that. So this is a message is coming to you about a repeat. It's not a repeat of the situation. That's the wrong way of saying it. But you are in another situation where there are different viewpoints. And maybe you're now more in the position to be the influencer, and that is part of what you're going to bring back. But you need to connect in. You can't just stand separate from it, because the battle is in finding the balance in the middle and not being persuaded or taken off course. And you are more than strong enough to do this. And this is important to reclaim your power. So let's just see how that all comes together with 4 other cards from the tarot. 8 of Swords reversed. Page of Pentacles. 3 of Pentacles. 9 of Wands. Okay. So what it's saying to you is that the first thing to do is release your mind beyond remembering that touchy people can make things difficult, and you have a really good history in knowing what this looks like. You need to free your mind and plan on the basis that you could collaborate. So that's what this is really talking about. You can't reclaim your power by just being a kind of waspish individualist. You may be able to do a certain amount, but you'll be able to do more if you can be with others. What you have to do is say, if whatever I'm doing, if it's around something social, political, work-wise, whatever it is, even relationships, friendships, I have to be in life and in the situation to influence it and to be who I am. I'm prepared to reclaim power by standing up for myself, fighting or whatever. But I'm also prepared to listen to the other side, be exposed to the other side, and make a decision about whether or not I can collaborate or not. Because over here, I feel like I was sort of pushed into something that wasn't what I wanted and didn't turn out to be what I wanted. But I can't just be determined never to work with others as a result of it. So that's the kind of message that this is saying, reclaiming the power by understanding the past and knowing what is different now, and also knowing what is different in you and what you learned from it, and that you've learned a lot. So that's really powerful. So let's see if that's what the sort of like kind of mythological, chimeric world is telling you as messages. What then does the natural world have to say? Let's have a look at some flora and fauna. So firstly, a message for each from flora. So around the original thing, reclaiming the power. Oak, strength and endurance, a reminder to stand firm in your truth. So your truth is important here. It probably was compromised on some level before, but you're stronger than that now. But standing in your truth doesn't stop you from hearing the truth of others. In fact, the only thing that stops you from doing that is if you stand too separate, and then it's not really standing in your truth. What about the past? What was the past message for you around this? Daffodil, vitality and new beginnings. Life is blossoming in unexpected ways. So it probably happened at a time where this looked like it was a very good thing for you. And I would say that that's what's made you extra careful about it. But also, the reason this message is coming to you now, and this may in fact be the message that was coming, is that things are getting better now. So it appeared that way then, but there was some like really dogmatic, bossy sort of energies that didn't help it. But now there's a better opportunity if you stand in your strength. So what would a real animal say as opposed to a chimeric animal say about reclaiming your power, part one? Armadillo, self-protection mode. It's fine to have that to some degree, it's the same, but like it's weird. It's with the immunity, it's also saying the only way you truly protect yourself is to make yourself immune to those things that were an issue before. So you do have to be in life to do it, but it's saying you can protect yourself with your understanding and your knowledge and the strength that you actually have. And what about the past, the message about the past? Dragonfly, breaking free from illusion. Yeah, this you broke free from this. It's saying you were under some illusion before. You were at a point where maybe you were beguiled or whatever, or things weren't what they appeared to be at first, but you did break free of that. And the memory of that and knowing that is important. That's why you're it's like, you're working a muscle. You've sort of like stretched and worked your muscle, almost overworked it, and that's what actually makes it build stronger. That's the energy that we're seeing here. So what about astrology? What's a planetary pairing for each of these? A planetary pairing around you reclaiming your power. Venus and Neptune. It's, see, that's really interesting because you would go, oh, that feels a little bit lovey and deluded and illusion. But this is actually finding the heart of where there is connection and capacity and love and balance through the illusion. So, and again, you can't do that. So if this was, this could have been, you had a relationship with someone who was completely arrogant and narcissistic and so forth. And it did cost you. It was really hard and you're really not wanting to do anything. But if you actually go out there knowing that like it's being in the world makes you immune to some of that sort of stuff, you can actually find the ideal. It's sort of saying that you can't find that ideal without being in the game. And the energy around the past, the memory of the past to help you. Neptune and Pluto, yeah, that was where there was illusion around power. It could also be saying that this was an illusion around power, and this might be around getting out and falling in love and being with others and finding love and finding connection. So But it is saying that there's something about what happened there that's going to help you here. So I think that was the reason that the past came up, because it's actually a really strong basis for you. Now, to finish off, I'm just going to ask you to choose a number between 1 and 5, and we're just going to get you one other chimeric being from the Marvelous Menagerie to sort of just give a final message to synthesize it. So if you haven't already chosen a number 1 to 5, I'm just saying that, pause if you need to, because I'm about to deal out. So if you chose number 1, we have the resourceful feathered ferret. If you chose number 2, the solitary coy wolf. If you chose number 3, the mischievous giant jackmoose. If you chose number 4, the auspicious longmar. And if you chose number 5, the wondrous goblin manta. Okay, so for number 1, we seem to have the combination of a ferret and some sort of marvellous peacock feathered bird. And the final message for you is seize the opportunity that is at hand. So know that you're ready. If you chose number 2, the solitary coy wolf, which is a combination of a koi fish and a wolf, embrace solitary strength and independent power. So for you, within this, it is saying that you need to be around others, but it's really pointing over to the zebra here. For you as a group, it is important to still have some degree of independence. I think this is most likely, those who chose 2, it's most likely to be around something around work or something social or political, because there is a power in your independence, but you still need to connect with others. If you chose number 3, the mischievous giant jackmoose, which is like some sort of like a bunny rabbit and a moose by the looks of things. We have pranks and funny falsehoods are afoot. Okay, so be aware. It's not probably, this was much more kind of like dominatory and dominating. I don't know if dominatory is a word. Dominating and kind of, persuasive and manipulative energy that you had to deal before. But there is something a little bit wild. There's a wild card associated with what you're doing at the moment. So be aware of that, pay attention to things. If you chose number 4, the auspicious longmar, which seems to be, a dragon and some form of horse by the looks of things, fortune bodes well at business or work. So if this is around business or work, you have fortune in your play as well, in play for you as well. And if you chose number 5, we have the wondrous goblin manta, which is sort of like a praying, like a manta fish, I'd say, and looks like a shark as a combination. Anyway, it says there is still much to discover. So yeah, there's much particularly about this to discover. That's why you have to be out there. So I think of all of them, the number 2 is the most stand in your truth, be with others, but stand very true. Of number 5 is like there's a lot more to discover, and this could be very different to the past. And the rest is like, you do have the information and the experience now to be able to deal with this really well. So I hope that resonates for you and that was kind of fun. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with resilience. I suspect if you did that, it's because you're in a situation that requires a degree of resilience at the moment and you want some advice on it. Or, maybe you always come to pile 2, but there is something here about resilience, about being able to see something through, things taking a bit of time and so forth. So the various aspects that we'll look at connect to the concept of resilience there. The other message for you is around exploration. So I suspect there's a connection here. It's sort of like you're in something at the moment that is not easy, requires resilience. It's for the long haul. I suspect it's not anything like love or whatever, because I don't know that we should really need resilience to be in a love relationship. So I suspect this is like a work situation, a creative project, some sort of endurance thing, maybe you're starting boot camp or something like that requires that. And I think this might be partly how to make the most of that with explore. So what within this can you explore? How can you make this more exciting for yourself? Not just kind of like just getting through something, but actually exploring and growing and so forth to get something out of it. So as you can see, there's different aspects that we're going to look at around the hexagram. So we're going to do the first one and then have a look at some tarot. We're going to do the second one and have a look at some tarot, and then we're going to bring it together. So Resilience. What is the action? What is the action involved that requires resilience from you? Wow, we've got the missing hidden mouse. Where did it go? Okay, there's something you're looking for. This is about seeking something. Now, it might be very obviously that it's about seeking something. So you might say, like, this is going to be hard. This is a long search for something. Or it may be that the resilience that you have itself is what you're seeking. And it's there, the missing hidden mouse. But you're kind of like, how do I do this? How do I get through this? So what's the lesson that resilience is bringing to you at the moment? Particularly if it may be a little bit hidden from you, the resilience itself, or you may be searching for something and it's going to be a difficult thing. It's going to take strength to do it. What is the lesson? We have the great potochetta, which is a cheetah and some form of bird. Change is rapidly approaching. Okay, so whatever this is, it may be that you don't yet see or know what this is, to be honest. There's something coming in, changes coming in, that's going to require resilience, and truly understanding what it is and what to do with it and where to put it and so forth may be part of the challenge. What is comforting for you while you're dealing with something that you need resilience for? The hidden power, blue-ringed kraken. So the kraken and an octopus, by the looks of things, you hold the potential to create both harmony and chaos. Okay, so the reality about this is that you're very strong. So even though if you're not entirely sure what you're going after, what it is that's missing, what the resilience is, or even what the change is, like in the middle of chaos, you actually are very good with this. You can deal better than most with not having all the answers and with dealing with something that is emergent. So how do you best adapt? How do you do that? How do you have the strength to adapt and go through that kind of energy? The deadly black widow monkey. Wow, black widow spider with a monkey. Consider carefully. A bad choice may prove deadly. Okay, well, I don't think this is literally deadly, but I think it is saying that in the midst of all of this, you have to be aware of the most severe consequences. If you're dealing with something chaotically changing, you're good at this, but you're not entirely sure what's involved or what you're looking for. So you need to adapt by being very strategic. Where can you get guidance for this? The enduring snowy owl deer, so a combination of an owl and a deer. You can get through this. It just says you can do it. You can do it. You're kind of a little bit on your own in this, I would say. It doesn't mean that you don't have spiritual guidance because you've come to this sort of reading, but part of the resilience is that really you're the one who's in whatever the situation, political, social, work, creative, whatever it is, you're the one who's able to deal with chaos, change, rapidly changing things and so forth, and you're able to bring it into harmony. But only you can really decide what the right steps are. So where should you best put your energy? If it's going to be a bit of a long haul to do this, and it's not always going to be clear, and some of the choices could be very dire if you don't make the right choice, where can you put your energy to your best outcome? The emperor polar gwyn, so a penguin and a polar bear, only in unity can all find success. Okay, so you are the one who has to be the strongest in a group. That's what this looks like. And you are the one who people look to for that and for almost like the hidden meaning behind everything. You can do this, but you need the people around you and you need to be doing it for people for this to have a purpose. It's also in terms of like the guidance or whatever, you can connect to that. If your energy is connected to the group that you're with, the cause that you're doing, you're going to get the guidance you need because it's within you. But sometimes I think in this situation, there's something about the change that's going on in your life or that you're involved in that may not always be what it appears to be and may be more chaotic than it appears. So there's a sort of like a danger potentially associated with just presuming it's the same as other things. So, and it is for the long haul. So then let's actually, as I said, let's get tarot first. Let's just get a little bit more information on what is this thing that you're dealing with, this change, this chaos. It is a little bit dangerous. I mean, it's not, I don't believe it's actually deadly, but like kind of metaphorically, Like it could be, a difficult job when you're really trying to work out because it's very chaotic, and like, if you don't make the right choices, maybe you don't stay in the job, that kind of thing. What else can we know about this? Six of Wands, you are likely to be victorious. So remember that. Three of Wands reversed. But yeah, it's going to be you that's got to come up with the answers. You've got people around you, but you've got to come up with the answers. Five of Wands, and part of what you've got to do is keep everybody calm while everything's difficult. Eight of Cups. One of the reasons that you can do this is you're able to detach from the emotion of it, and that's important. And know when to walk away, though. I don't think you'll have to walk away here. I think that you are going to be victorious, but a large chunk of what you're doing in the midst of everything is trying to keep everybody else on course and calm. And it's difficult because you're not entirely sure what the outcome is meant to be. So then if we look at it as an exploration, what are you exploring? And it could be that these are two different things. So we'll see if there's a similar energy. But what is Spirit wanting you to explore? The ridiculous Y potrill. This looks like it's some sort of like horse and boar or something. I'm not sure. Do not judge by appearances. So there's something that isn't what it appears. And that's interesting, at the hidden mouse, you can't see it. There is something about this that appears to be one thing, but it's going to be something else. So try and go in with the concept of exploration rather than presuming that you know exactly what's going to come out of this. What do you need to bring on your exploration? The monstrous Bulgasari, which is an elephant and a tiger by the looks of things. This is a time to rebel and fight. So there is sort of something about this. There is a battle associated with it. So bring your A game for a battle. You don't, and if you do, you may never have to do it, but you do have to be ready to do that. What can you discover if you do that? The emerald tree boa of paradise. So this is a boa constrictor and a bird of paradise. Spread your wings and explore something new. So, it's actually exactly that. So what you're meant to discover is that there is an exploration associated with this, that it can be that. It appears to be very chaotic and weird, and it's hard to judge what's going on, and you need to have your A game in case, but there's also a lot to explore. So it literally does feel a bit like being in a jungle, and you've got to be ready to battle if you have to, but you're also meant to explore. So where are you meant to explore? In what sort of place or in what sort of way? The defensive pufferhead shark. So that's a pufferhead fish and a shark. Go on the defensive. Okay. So this is going, there's something about this where you're going into potentially enemy territory or something that's so unknown that you may have to be defensive. So explore definitely, but be ready to be on the defensive, be ready to fight. And it's more like be defensive than come out and fight. This is like bring your A game if you have to, but like just be on the defensive. Just be ready for what could be going on here. Where would you have to leave if the exploration got too dangerous? The resilient Arctic Komodo. So it looks like a Komodo dragon and some other reptilian beast. Overcoming this challenge will make you stronger. So it's not actually saying to leave. I don't actually think you have a choice, because I think these two things are connected. You're going to have to see this thing through. But no, you will get stronger through this. And then it says precautions. So what precautions do you need to take? The immune bomagua. A little exposure will build you immunity. So this is like, it's interesting because they're at similar points. There's something here about other people being in potentially hostile territory, but there's also a lot to explore, and it may not be quite what it appears. You do need to be careful and ready because chaos could occur, but you also need to connect with others. At its worst, it makes you immune to the risk because you've kind of like exposed yourself to it and understood it. At its best, you may find that it isn't necessary. So let's see what this sort of says about the exploration side. They're quite similar. So they're definitely talking about the same thing. This is definitely for a group that are dealing with something, a bit of a long haul, a lot to discover, other people involved that you have to be connected with. This is why it feels like social or political or work. So what does the tarot say? Nine of Wands. Actually, for most of you, you're near the end of this. You're near the end of it, so you should know this, or the finish line will be closer than you expect. Knight of Cups reversed. It's not going to be shown to you though. It's not going to be offered. You're going to have to find it. Eight of Pentacles, but you've mastered things like this before. You are the person who is able to do this. Four of Swords reversed. But yeah, you have to go out and do it. Like, you don't really have any choice. Like, there is something that you're being called to do. And I think it's kind of feels like social or political or in work or something like that. And you are strong enough, but you don't really know what you're dealing with. Look at it as an exploration, but be ready. Be ready. But know that you've mastered chaos and these sort of things more than most people. So how does it come together for you? Justice reversed. Yeah, there's some injustice. There's something that you have to deal with. Queen of Pentacles. Yeah, something where people have not been loyal, where things are not secure in some way, not just. Five of Pentacles, and where people are divided. Page of Pentacles. Yeah, you're meant to find the mouse in many ways. You're meant to find the thing that is actually unifying, that takes through chaos and becomes creative, that after the exploration actually can be something. But it is a lonely sort of thing, and it's in a situation of a bit of chaos and injustice. So, but there's something about you're able to deal with this more than most people. So let's see what the more natural world wants to say. Let's see, firstly, what flora energies want to talk to you. So around the original thing, around what you need to be resilient with, we have blackberry, abundance and reward, hard work bears sweet fruit. So this is saying stick with this and you're going to come out. This is why it's saying you are going to win at this. Like, this is, you're nearer to the end of this than you think. So I think most of you will know what this is if you've come to the right reading, and you'll have already realized you were the right person and how many battles you've had to have. But you will get a good outcome out of this. And the exploration side of it, dandelion, resilience and wishes granted. Okay, great. Trust in new beginnings. So your resilience will pay off. Like, whatever you're doing, you actually are going to be successful. It's not an easy thing. You're closer to the finish line than you think. But like, don't let your guard down yet. Keep going to get to the end, because the end has a reward. What actual natural being will, like in terms of fauna, will support you around the resilience? Our wisdom. So yeah, there's wisdom to be had from this. You have the wisdom to deal with this, and we'll bring you the wisdom to know what to do. And the exploration side of things, swan, harmony and beauty. So kind of try and look at the exploration as finding the points where there is harmony, beauty and connection rather than division. But be aware also that where that doesn't exist, that's probably telling you where you're going to have to be stronger in the battle. Let's also get a couple of planetary pairings. One for resilience. We have Venus and Uranus. Yeah, there is a kind of beauty in all of this. Like, part of what you're trying to do is find the beauty and the balance in the new creation. Chaos becomes creation, but it's like beauty coming out of the chaos. So there is something good to come out of this too, I think it's saying. So it might feel a bit dangerous and a bit chaotic, but there is something good to come out of it. And around the exploration, the astrology energy there is Sun and Neptune. Yeah, this is your life path. You're the one that can do it. You can kind of see through the deceptions. You can see through the illusions. That's what's necessary. If you're starting off with a missing hidden mouse, where there's a kind of a almost elusive dream that's being followed, or elusive outcome in a very chaotic, changing situation. But you have the resilience and the strength and the mind of an explorer. You're prepared, you're ready, you're defensive when you need to be, but you can also find the harmony and connect. So that's very, very powerful. So to finish off, we're just going to get one more creature for you. But like, which one depends upon your choice of a number between 1 and 5. So please choose a number between 1 and 5. Pause if you need to, because I'm about to deal them out. So number 1 is the wondrous goblin manta. So a kind of looks like a manta fish and possibly a shark. Number 2, if you chose number 2, is the undead chupacabra. So a chupacabra and some other beastie. Yeah, unicorn and a chupacabra together. I think so very mythical. If you chose number 3, the bouncing bucket bill plainshopper, so a kind of a pelican and a kangaroo. If you chose number 4, you have the Nautilus sea drake, so a sea dragon. And if you chose number 5, you get the giant jackmoose, so a kind of a moose and a jackrabbit. So if you chose number 1, the message for you from the Goblin Manta is there is still much to discover. So the exploration thing is really important at the moment, and try to be as open-minded as you can. Be ready if you need to battle, but like there's still a lot to find out to really get the best outcome. If you chose number 2 with the Chupa Corner, beware corruption and slow decay. So this is one where you do have to be aware of, like, there's something corrupt, there's something rotten in the state of Denmark, as the bard would say. So be aware of that. For number 3, the bouncing bucket bill plainshopper, take a leap. So just jump into it. You might be, of all the people who've come to this, you might be the closest to the beginning of this. Having said that, the end it's maybe not as long a journey as it is for some others. If you chose number 4 with the Nautilus sea drake, stay strong even under great pressure. So the resilience is particularly important, the stuff that's being said there. And if you chose number 5, the giant jackmoose, it says pranks and funny falsehoods are afoot. So again, be aware that it's not so much really dangerous stuff, but you could be led astray on this journey. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So you came to find your calm. And the other thing that Spirit wants to talk to you about is the courage to change. So I suspect this is do this and then this, to be honest. I think that, and most of them in these readings have been connected. So I think this is no exception, but I think this is do this to get to this. That's the impression I'm getting. So if you are going to eventually have the courage to change and do that, go through the chaos and the fear and the letting go, and it has calm here and calm is here. This seems to me that this is a prerequisite. So as you can see with each of them, we have a number of aspects of the topic around the hexagram. So what we're going to do is we're going to firstly do this one. We'll get a creature for each of those topics to get a bit of an idea about what is it about finding your calm that Spirit wants you to know. Then we'll use some tarot to get a bit more information. Then we'll do it around the courage to change tarot, and then we'll bring it together. So the first thing, if we start at the top, is unwind. So to find your calm, what is one of the main things you need to bear in mind to unwind and get to that point? To find the calm that you need. The mischievous giant jackmoose. So this is a combination, I think, of a jackrabbit and a moose. Pranks and funny falsehoods are afoot. So there's something around the situation that you're in, or your life that you're in, where it is a bit chaotic. And look, you may like pranks, or you may be around other people that have pranks, or there may be sort of something that you feel is fundamentally false in your life and you do want to change it. It's probably not massively bad. We're talking about pranks, not something really awful, but there is an energy around that. So to unwind, and it may be to unwind, you can sort of have a bit of fun, but on the other hand, be aware of where that disturbs your calm. So what would be a treat? A treat that was maybe a little less disruptive than the pranks when you're trying to find your calm. We have the Death Stalker bat, the dangerous Death Stalker bat. Beware, danger may be sneaking up on you. Okay, so there's something here. This is telling you be calm. Though it's also telling you be aware, because there's something in how you're preparing or trying to calm down that is actually not that good for you, Pile 3. Like it veers between mischievous and actually being a bit dangerous. So there could be something here, I'm just going to be frank, where, you know, like interesting substances or whatever may not be the best way to be calm. Hanging around with a lot of friends who are into kind of like wild events may not be the best thing to be calm. And like some of this might be changing from that energy. That might be what you're meant to change from, to kind of like get away from kind of the things that are a little bit risky, that go from mischievous to risky for you. So what would you need to release to find your calm? The harbinger, moth mantis, tragedy and destruction lie ahead. Wow. Okay, so I think release that sense. Like this almost looks to me, actually, what I think this is saying, I don't think it's saying, there's another one that I had a pretty dire thing. I don't think it's actually telling you tragedy is coming. But what it is saying is that I think there might be a compensatory way that you're finding calm at the moment. That is almost like there's a sense of like everything's going to fall apart. So like, kind of like it's almost a stepping away from it and not thinking about the longer term and so forth. I feel like there's sort of something here that you need to release a sense that, well, everything's kind of going to fall apart anyway, so I may as well party. It's almost the sense of it, so that you can find your path, and that's what we want to talk about here. So what path is actually going to get you on the right path for calming yourself down and calming the situation down? The defensive pufferhead shark, go on the defensive. Okay, don't get involved in things. Be defensive. Think about what's going to work for you. Think about what will make you calm. Think about, what makes you feel secure. So I just feel like it's sort of saying there's a kind of like almost a risky behavior and almost fatalism around you at the moment in something. So separating out from that, thinking about how you defend yourself is good. How would you find real rest as opposed to, as I say, almost sort of checking out into things that aren't good for you? How would you find real rest? The forgotten haute kudu. There is power in the past. Remember, okay, there's things that you've done in the past that calmed you down. That's actually better than, I think there's some influences around you that maybe they mean well. I mean, I don't necessarily think they mean badly, but it's sort of like, it's kind of like, it's almost like a call to excess rather than calm, because it almost feels like, well, we may as well do it. So what's the tension? What's the tension that you're trying to relieve, where there's something in your past that you could actually use to calm down more than what you're doing at the moment? But what is the tension? The resourceful feathered ferret sees the opportunity that is hand. Okay, so there's an opportunity or something. There is an opportunity to do something better. This is like the courage to change. Like this is really showing me, you'll know if this fits you, to be honest, because this is showing me that this is changing your own behaviours, and maybe a kind of almost a fatalism of like, oh, I may as well do this because, life is difficult or things are going to go wrong anyway or whatever. There's almost a sense of that. But there is an opportunity. So you're meant to sort of like calm that sense of just jumping in without even thinking about the outcomes and being a little bit more defensive and having a bit more of a strategy, and to get yourself ready, feel that you're ready for it rather than you just kind of like, oh, well, I'll just have a go because who cares, because whatever works out. There's that kind of energy around it. So let's see what else Tarot wants to say. Temperance reverse. I've got to say, I don't know how many of the people who come to my readings like interesting substances, but there's something here about getting a more temperate approach at the very least. Two of Cups reverse, particularly around the people that you connect with, whether it's lovers or any kind of like connections. It's sort of like when you're on your own and it's just you, that's fine. When others are involved, it tends to get a little bit wilder. So just be aware of that. Knight of Pentacles, there is a healthier way to do what you need to do. You just need to slow down a bit. You're going at things too quickly. That's why it's saying calm down, because there is a courage to change. It is inviting you to do that. So what is the chaos that it's wanting to change, that needs to change? What's creating chaos that needs the courage to change? The stealthy hidden mouse, blend in and stay quiet. That's what needs to change. I think you are blending into the behaviours and stuff of other people. And when you do that, you lose your own sort of defences and your own wisdom, and you don't grab the opportunities that are necessary. Like I think that for this group, if you've come to a right reading, I think it's a very specific message. There are people who are influencing you, whether for good or real, I don't know, but they're not good influences. Like it's better to realize that when you try and fit into something that isn't really right for you, that doesn't work for you. That creates chaos. So where is the courage that you need? The unique zebracorn, embrace the power of individuality. Yeah, be yourself. Be yourself. Now, this could be playing out in friendships. It could be playing out in love relationships. It could be stuff at work where people like push the boundaries of ethics. Could be politically where things are excessive. Like there's something like that. And as I say, it's almost like there's a sense of, well, everything's going to be rubbish anyway, so we may as well, just sort of go at it sort of thing. But there is a more strategic way of doing things, and not fitting in is actually something that's going to help you. How do you need to hold on to have the courage to change? The leader, Sea Griffin, strong leadership and firm direction. Like you're actually more of a leader. You're not a follower. This is part of what you've got to have the courage to change, because at the moment you may be following. Maybe something happened that made you sort of think, oh, like life's just insane, or I'm just in an insane situation. And you almost checked out a bit and just follow, but you're meant to be a leader. So how do you find the calm? How do you, given that it was saying, find the calm over there? The cunning kitsunix. So this is a phoenix and kitsune together. Those who are clever make their own second chances. This is saying you are clever enough to do this. And like that's interesting because you've got the mischievous giant jackmoose. So you've got there's a bit of mischief around, and kitsune is a mischievous energy. So it's sort of like you using your cleverness and your individuality. You're actually better at playing the game of whatever this is than the people that you're kind of fitting in with. I think that's what it's trying to say to you. So what is the fear that you've got to let go of? The immune bomb agua. A little exposure will build immunity. That's come up for most, actually. So I think you're a bit afraid of connecting in to the real issue here and the real change and the people that you would need to be around with. And you're a bit worried about how if you change, like is that going to create almost like a virus compared to the others, or they feel like a virus? But it's saying it's not that you necessarily have to walk away completely from everybody. You just need to build your immunity so that you are yourself. So what do you need to let go to make the change work for you? The great horned hippogriff, which is like an owl and a, it looks like some sort of like griffin. I think it's an owl and a griffin. Seek wisdom from trusted sources. Okay, so from the past there are better ways of doing this, and there are people and energies or sources or authorities or whatever that can actually help you be the leader and be yourself and not just fit in with this situation. So there is guidance available, and then you can be clever enough to do it, because there's something about it, you have to be kind of around this situation, but it's like the coping mechanisms of just kind of fitting in and just following along is not going to help you. So let's have a look at what Tarot wants to say about this. King of Pentacles reversed, the Death card, the Star card reversed, the King of Swords reversed. Yeah, okay. There is some sort of change necessary. King of Pentacles, you have reached the point where this situation, whether it's a job, a political situation, some friendships or whatever, it's kind of exhausted itself almost, to be honest. You do need to make the choice to kind of change. That's inevitable. What you need to be aware of, and this is where you have to be clever and stand your ground and change even when there's a lot of influence on you. Oh, why are you worried about that? That doesn't matter, just have fun. Is that there is kind of a manipulative energy keeping you off your path, whether it's because it's threatened by you or whether it's because it doesn't know what its path is. But there are sneaky people and difficult people who could lead you very far astray in this situation. But you are more than capable of recognizing that and making the decision, and realize that to the degree that they're doing it, to some degree, it's because they're a bit threatened by you. So own your own North Star, own who you really are. That's all that's necessary to change. So it's actually not changing you, it's changing the situation you're in. So how does this, because the situation at the moment is changing you, but you go back to the resilience of who you are, then you change the situation. So how does it come together? Three of Wands. Yeah, know what your direction is. Five of Wands. Even if it causes a bit of a battle, you're more than able to deal with that. Six of Swords reversed. Even if the path isn't clear, that's okay. Four of Pentacles, because you have the foundation you need. So, you know, like, be prepared to go off the path of going along with people. Be prepared with a little bit of a battle, argument or whatever, because you know what your path is and you have the foundation. So it's really saying reclaim yourself in many ways, rather than like, and be calm. You can do it. You already have it. You've got this. It's only doubting that you've got it that's the issue. That's the only thing that really has to change. So let's see some natural world. We've been looking at like the kind of mythical world. Let's get some flora energy. So around the being calm energy, what does the natural world want to tell you? Clover, luck and opportunity, fortune favors the open-hearted. So things are better than this situation is trying to tell you. And these people are you're around a bunch of people, by the looks of things, who are kind of doom agents. Or let's just check out, you know, like who needs this world to not in an absolute way, but like in kind of like, you know, let's just, I don't know, assume the position and watch Netflix and not do anything with our lives. That kind of feeling. Like, it's great to assume the position and watch Netflix sometimes. I like to do that when I relax, but it's not a path for life overall. You know, to follow your path. So I think this is saying, you know, like, there is luck once you start to calm down and see your own strength and your own ability and change the situation rather than let the situation change you. So around the changing, we have Pine, longevity and clarity, connect with the wisdom of the ages. Yes, it's like you have the wisdom, you have that. And the acorn becomes the oak. You are who you are. This doesn't have to change you this much. And anybody who's telling you that it is actually you know, either kidding you and knowing it, or kidding themselves and kidding you as well while doing it, or trying to kid you as well. You can, this is not changing you, this is becoming you. That's what this is saying. So let's get some animals that are actual animals as guides. So around the calming down energy, Badger, I fight for what I want. Yeah, it's like, oddly enough for you, the problem wasn't that you needed to calm down. It was how you calm down. It was saying like, this is what I'll fight for and go for and have courage about. And the rest I'm just going to be calm. I'm not going to be looking at other ways to calm myself down or almost anesthetize myself. And what about the courage to change? Sloth, slowing down. Like, yeah, slow down. Don't be rushed by it. Allow it to happen gradually. You have the strength to do this. And it's more slow down. Don't take lots of risks. Don't sort of just follow the pack. Be true to who you are and just methodically work through it. There will be advice for you on how to do it. You have seen things in the past that will help you. Okay, let's just get a couple of planetary pairings as well. So around the calming down, we have Mercury and Neptune. Yeah, this is so that you can get a clearer idea. There is a risk of like illusory, deluded, or even checked out communication operating here. So it's like, if you calm down within yourself and you back yourself, you'll be able to see with more clarity around what's real and what isn't real in the situation. And then around the courage to change, which is, I think, to change the situation rather than change yourself. We have Sun and Moon, yeah, because you're fine, really. It's like, it's finding your life path and your emotional equilibrium or whatever. That's fine. That's in harmony. It's the situation that's not in harmony. So understanding that and not internalizing it, I think that's the really important message here. So to finish off, I'm just going to ask you to choose a number between 1 and 5. And depending upon which it is, you'll get one more fantastical being and message to bring it all together. So pause if you need to, because I'm about to deal out. So for number 1, we get the frilled Dilophothery, which appears to be some sort of reptile and butterfly. For number 2, we get the wondrous goblin manta, which appears to be sort of a shark and a manta ray. For number 3, we have the bouncing bucket-bill plains hopper. For number 4, we have the prehistoric dodocolio, so dodo bird and some sort of other animal. I'm not really sure what these are. And for number 5, we have the spotted quasselot. It's kind of cute. So for number 1, the intimidating frilled Dilophothery. Be wary of others trying to persuade you. Yeah, like this is a very big thing. Like it's like you know better than most of the other people around this situation, and they're persuading you into risky behavior on one form or another. Or they're telling you to calm down by fitting in and being quiet as opposed to being true to who you are. If you chose number 2 with the wondrous goblin manta, there is still much to discover. So don't be disheartened by this. Like once you actually start to think, I'm going to change the situation rather than be changed by it, you start to be more exploratory and you start to see what you can discover in it. If you chose number 3, the bouncing bucket bill plains hopper, it says take a leap. So yeah, take a leap of faith in yourself, I think, is what this is really saying, rather than thinking other people have the answer. If you chose number 4, the prehistoric dodocolio, learn from past mistakes. So if you have kind of followed along and fitted in and you're feeling bad about it, just learn from it and move on. We all make mistakes. That's fine. The only thing that becomes a real mistake is when we don't learn from it and we repeat it. So that's why the courage to change is important. And lastly, if you had the spotted quasselot, it says ground and connect with the earth. So yeah, like ground yourself. Think about who you are, what you want to do. Don't go off into the ether, I think is what this is really saying. No, make sure everything that you do is grounded and earth-based and practical. So it's a bit of a tricky one, this one, I have to say, and I do think it's only going to fit certain people, but I think you'll know if it was, and I hope you enjoyed it and was helpful if so, and it gives you a sense of yourself and knowing you're the one who has the answers here, not the situation and not other people. If you did enjoy the reading, please like and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.